first tonight, Purple Bricks, the web-based estate agent that's on course to be the biggest in the UK.
Yeah, it says it will hold your hand every step of the way. But our secret filming shows they could be leading you up the garden path.
The process of selling your house has barely changed in the last few decades. You pick a high street agent you trust, they advertise your property, show people around, and then take a percentage cut when you sell. It's fair to say, though, the industry hasn't always had the best reputation for honesty. But there is one new company aiming to completely shake this up. Purple Bricks is an online estate agent that promises to revolutionise the market. Now, there are no high street shops. Your house is just advertised across property websites, and they don't take a percentage commission.
No commission? No.
Instead, there's a flat fee of £849 or £1,199, depending on where you live, and you'll pay that whether you end up selling or not. And there are charges for any extras, like organising viewings. Now, the company has big ambitions, aiming to become the largest estate agent in the UK in the next few years. But it's already found itself in trouble with regulators. The Advertising Standards Authority has banned 6 of its claims in the last 18 months alone, including a promise that customers could save £4,158 compared to traditional estate agents, which the regulator said Purple Bricks couldn't back up and was likely to mislead.
And customers who've contacted us have also said they have felt misled by what they've been told by Purple Bricks and its agents.
John Bristow from South London chose to sell his house with Purple Bricks in January this year because of the savings he thought he'd make over a traditional high street agent. The Purple Bricks agent explained the fees during the valuation, offering him the option to pay upfront or pay later. John decided to defer the payment, but that came with a consequence he didn't expect.
I received an email after I deferred it to say that I entered into a credit agreement with Close Brothers.
So what was your reaction then when you got this email?
Well, my first reaction was, who are Close Brothers? I entered an agreement with Purple Bricks. I felt that I'd been cheated into something that I wasn't led to believe that I was going into.
John maintains he was never told during his valuation that choosing to pay later would mean he was taking out a loan with Close Brothers, an entirely separate finance company. And he was also unhappy when he discovered the so-called local property expert actually lived nearly 30 miles away. And we've heard from more Purple Bricks customers who don't think the company lived up to its claims, including Kate Armstrong, who wanted to sell up her house in the Wirral to buy her dream retirement home in France. Kate felt she had a complete lack of communication from Purple Bricks, who failed to tell her the original buyer had dropped out and been replaced by someone in a large chain. This nearly scuppered her chance of securing her new home. All of this despite the company's promises to hold her hand all the way through the process.
My very own brilliant local property expert took care of every step of the sale.
So the advert on the television was telling me, we hold your hands. And I'm sitting at home thinking, no, that's not what happens. You don't even phone me when the offer on the house is no longer a true offer on the house.
Kate complained to the property ombudsman, who awarded her £200. She did manage to move to France using a traditional high street agent, which she wishes she'd used from the off.
I just used to scream. I just felt like I had to keep my cool with the agent over the phone. My feeling was that they knew no matter what happened, they would get paid. It didn't make any difference what they did, what they didn't do. They were going to get paid.
So, after complaints from customers and regulators, has Purple Bricks finally learnt its lesson? And are customers now getting fair and clear information? Well, we put them to the test.
We rigged up 5 properties across the country and went undercover. Posing as homeowners looking to sell, we invited a Purple Bricks local property expert to each house. On some things, the agents we met were very clear. They did seem knowledgeable about the local property market and how the online process works. But As our viewings continued, some of what they said started to raise alarm bells. 2 of our 5 agents made claims about the number of houses they'd sold that seemed to be wildly exaggerated.
On my own, I'd regularly list between 20 and 25 houses a month. On my own. Which is completely manageable. And I sell a lot of homes.
What's the ratio to sales for this?
92%.
Sounds good, doesn't it? But when we checked this out ourselves, it seemed this agent was listing between 8 and 11 houses a month, half of what he told us. Now, you might expect a little exaggeration from your estate agent, but when it comes to the financial side of the deal, well, you should get absolute clarity on what you're signing up to. But when our agents explained payment options, 3 of the 5 never told us that if we deferred payments, we would be agreeing to taking out a loan with a separate finance company. Which raises some very serious concerns for property expert Paul Walsh, who teaches consumer protection to the National Association of Estate Agents.
How important is it for estate agents to be upfront about the fees and financial agreements you would have with them?
It's critically important because fees and the financial arrangements, they're one of the key factors that people will take into account when deciding which agent to sign up with. So if they're not upfront about it, then they are at risk of being in breach of the consumer protection regulations.
What about being dishonest about sales records when estate agents go around the house? That's a problem, isn't it?
It is a problem because under the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading regulations, certain trading practices are prohibited. And one of those prohibited practices is misleading information.
We also took a closer look at what Purple Bricks was claiming online. In an email sent to us, straight away we spotted that claim of saving £4,158, which the ASA banned as likely to mislead. Purple Bricks proudly displays the Property Ombudsman logo on its website. That means all its agents are required to follow the clear rules in place to protect consumers.
Given what we've told you about the practices we've seen with these estate agents, does it sound like they are breaking this code of practice?
Yes, quite probably, because what the Code of Practice does is it imposes on estate agents obligations to comply with the law. So some of the things that we've talked about are potentially breaches of the consumer protection regulations, and therefore de facto, they are a breach of the Code of Practice.
So come on, Purple Bricks, if you really want to be the country's leading estate agent, surely you need to make sure all your agents play by the rules.
Well, with us now is Michael Bruce, who is CEO of Purple Bricks. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So looking at that film, we've seen agents exaggerating sales. You are not being upfront with customers about loans they're taking on, and you're still using misleading information that's been banned. It's not looking good, is it?
I think when my brother and I founded Purple Bricks, we founded it to give consumers a better choice, and we also wanted to give them something which is much more transparent, much more convenient, much more cost-effective. We accept, though, that along that journey there will be occasions where there will be obstacles, and there will be occasions where we get things wrong. But if we look at what you've said in your film, if we look at the ASA that you talked about at the start of your film, it was absolutely clear that the ASA didn't say that we weren't saving customers thousands of pounds. What they said was that it was a different level of
But they said
saving.
you couldn't back up that figure.
What they said was we couldn't back up that figure in every single location in the UK. And what happened was that we did actually take it down from over 1,000 locations. And we found that was one location which you quite rightfully pointed out to us. We're very sorry that one location existed.
One location which was the template for lots of other emails being sent out.
I accept that it will have been distributed to customers, but the moment it was brought to my attention, within an hour it was taken down straight away.
Why should we trust you, though? Because 6 times now you've been had, misleading information banned by the Advertising Standards Authority. You keep getting it wrong.
Purple Bricks is the most positively reviewed agent in the UK. We're very proud of the fact that we have loads of brand advocates from customers, but we accept that on occasion we will get that wrong.
On occasion, we're getting loads of complaints, though, from your customers. This is the reason why we followed it up.
I mean, what is absolutely clear is whenever you enter into an arrangement with Purple Bricks. We lead the way in terms of transparency on fees. Try and go to any other agent's website.
But you're not transparent, because if you look at when people defer a payment, they are taking out a loan and you're not telling them.
In fact, we are telling them.
You're not. Where do you say it? You don't say it on the website. Your agents are not telling people. So why aren't you telling them? Why can't you be upfront?
When a customer goes to instruct Purple Bricks, it is absolutely clear that they are entering into an agreement with Close Brothers. It is. It's
the
absolutely...
screen grabs you sent us does not say anywhere it is a loan.
Yeah, the point being is it's a facility agreement, but if between you and I the difference is how it's described, I'm very happy to sit down with our partners, Close Brothers, and look at how best we
So you admit you could
it.
be more transparent about it?
I accept that if the customers are saying that we need to be more transparent in any way, I give you a guarantee, and I give them a guarantee that we will work harder in order to be more and more transparent.
What about apologising to all those customers that have complained to us? Because I haven't heard that from you so far.
I apologise to anyone that doesn't get 100% of the service that they require from Purple Bricks. We lead the way in giving great service to customers. That's why we're most positively reviewed. But we do accept that along the journey, as we grow very fast, because there's a seismic change happening from traditional estate agency to Purple Bricks,
Okay.
that there will be occasions where we get it wrong.
OK. Mr Bruce, thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.